All right, let's continue. As I said, I would like this to be dynamic and engage with you every step of the way. Another QR code. This is a HAS slide, so you can actually interact with me as I go through each one of these slides. Please scan the QR code and you will be able to interact. There you go. Someone already pressed thumbs up. Nice. I can see more people. Yeah, feel free to play with all the emojis. Let me know if I can continue.
Continue.
Is everyone in, or should I wait for somebody?
Participant limit exceed.
Okay, so there are 5 people, so it's okay. Let's continue. What's your opinion, or what resonates the most when we talk about AI? Do you have an apocalyptic view about it? Are you a skeptic, or are you over-optimistic?
Somewhere between skepticism and over-optimism.
Yeah, I'm the same. Oh, we have some over-optimistic. That's nice. Okay, so let me know if I can move on. Yep. Good. Okay, so should we start by framing the conversation? And by saying framing is, I don't know how many of you have been part of some type of transformation in your life. I remember when I was in the United States, I used to be working at, I used to work at PayPal, and they were going through something called agile transformation, and they wanted the teams to work from a waterfall approach to a more iterative approach. Fast forward, I came to New Zealand 2015, I believe. And during that time, most companies were going through a digital transformation. I was part of this transformation when I was working at ASB and then Westpac. At some point, I think I also did a Datacom, but they were more like a consulting company, helping other companies to be more digital. But what is the purpose of driving this type of transformations in companies? I think what is the process of, what is the main objective of doing this type of transformation? I think it's just one, is for companies to sustain competitive advantage over time. The way to do that is by creating new capabilities inside the organization. Would you agree that most companies are not really prepared to work with AI today? So they need to build these capabilities inside their teams. Would you agree with that? Once we build these capabilities, companies will be able to sustain or continuously improve the customer experience and hopefully lower the unit cost of developing this experience for the customers. Performance is one of the biggest promises of AI. Improve on performances, improve on delivering new features faster, more often. Did you know that only 30% of organizations worldwide are realizing the benefits from AI initiatives? So this was a survey done by a business school called INSEAD and a company called Digital Pathways. You can see the sample size of the companies they research. Now, what separates winners from losers? And this is something that we believe is the secret formula to create value in any organization. This formula stands for value, and at the end of the day, the name of the game is called sustainable impact. So how do we sustain impact? We first need to look at the technical aspect of the solution. This represents quality, and multiply by the acceptance of the solution, and this is the human aspect of the solution. Just to put it in perspective, how many of you are software developers or work in software? Most of us? Yeah, cool. Imagine if we were to develop a very nice feature, very beautiful piece of engineering without any defect, but nobody is using it. Did we create value?
No value.
Now, what happens if we have a very awful user experience, but many people use this software? Did we create value?
Maybe.
Yes, maybe people don't have other options. But still, you will see people complaining, oh, this is awful. It will not take long for somebody to replicate that and capture that portion of the market. If we want to sustain impact, we need two aspects of the solution. We need the qualitative aspect, which is the technical, and we need the human aspect of it. So now what it means for AI is the same. So if we were to implement AI in our companies, there are so many tools at the moment that talks about AI and we can optimize your performance, etc. You bring these AI tools, the quality aspect of the solution, but if the team that is the one building the software don't use the tools, did we create value? Probably not. The whole purpose of this formula is for you to, when you consider implementing AI in your organization, or when you have these conversations with your manager, try to bring these two lenses. It's not only about the new shiny tool, it's also about adoption. Now, what do you think is the biggest challenge or friction point when using AI in your work? Is this making sense so far? Yeah, cool.
I can't write because of limit. I can just say the trust.
Yeah, you can type too many options. Nice. Time to learn. I did this, one of my clients, most people said a very interesting keyword, security.
Just typing data privacy.
Yes, everyone is scared about that. All right. So how do we actually transform the delivery experience of our teams? And I think that's the big question mark here. But before explaining that, maybe give you some context. Atlassian recently released a report around AI adoption across APAC. They interview around 3,000 engineers. And what I'm going to explain here is my interpretation of that. Are you guys familiar with the concept of golden thread of value? Have you heard about it? No? The golden thread of value explain the way we work, produce something. What we produce, so it's in this case features. And we create features for what? To create value for our customers. Eventually, we capture some value for ourselves. So in summary, the golden thread of value explains how we work, what we produce, the value we deliver for our customers, and the value we capture for ourselves. Now, in 2024, this was the Atlassian report, and they discovered that the top friction was around technical dev, documentations, and builds. I think technical dev is a big friction point to adopt new technologies or stop teams from progressing. Would you agree? When they run these surveys, the line managers and engineers were not understanding each other regarding AI. There was a big disconnect, and that was explained in the report. This is just on the way we work. Now, what we produce, we normally produce code. So the main of success is how many pull requests do you submit? Is this something you guys are measuring? I guess some companies do. Now, 44% of the people interviewed felt like leadership didn't understand their pain points, especially around AI. And only 38% actually report some AI time savings. Fast forward to 2025, things change a little bit. The main friction point is there's too much information around AI. There are so many new tools. Which one do I choose? The relationship between managers and developers has improved a little bit. And guess what? We no longer measure number of pull requests. Companies now are measuring the time that is spending other activities, which means how much conversations are going around with the teams. And I think this is a key one. So as AI evolve, we spend less time writing code, and we should spend more time trying to understand the context. And that's why we're moving away from being developers or dev engineers and more around context engineers. And I think that's where we're going. Now, 63% of the people, so we're moving away from 44% that feel like the leadership don't understand our pain points to 63%. So there is more friction between top and the trenches. Now, 50% of the people are using a framework called a Space Framework. Are you guys familiar with this framework? No? Okay. So this is a framework that's used by Microsoft, and instead of measuring, hey, how many line of code did you write, it's measuring the level of engagement of the team, and it's measuring how much communication is going in the trenches. And then there is something called IDP. So IDP stands for Internal Development Platforms. Basically, 98% of people are using internal development platforms, which means they are using enablers inside the organization. Instead of buying third party, we develop the software that enables our team to move faster. And then finally, 68% of the people interviewed report that they have 10 plus hours savings a week thanks to AI. However, there are still some frictions, and 50% of the people feel like even though we gain 10 plus hours, we also lose 10 plus hours fighting the use of AI. The reason I believe we like to use AI, and this is my personal, is because this enables me to finish my work faster. It releases my capacity. Would you agree? Now, what do we do with that capacity release? So today, I don't know in your organization, but I work in few organizations, and it's quite easy. Most of the time and most of the effort is spent on firefighting. There is a new bug coming in, and that's where we spend most of the time. We context switch between firefighting activities and trying to deliver new features to our clients. So this is how it looks our work today. And we spend very little to no time in improving the way we work. Is this resonating with you? Does this sound like your company? Maybe? So over time, this is an illustration of if we were to implement AI, we were to implement it in a right way and people use it, hopefully we're going to spend less time in firefighting activities. We can spend more time in improving the way we work. And then that's going to release our capacity to actually focus on developing and deliver new experiences to our customers. If we keep doing a good enough job, at some point, the firefighting activities will be so low that maybe we do one once in a while, but it's not going to be the common theme across the organization. So we focus more on improving the way we work, which is protecting the core business, and creating new experiences for our customers, igniting new growth for the organization. Now, how does AI augment the workforce? This is something that I will focus mainly in the QA role. So traditionally, QA perform a lot of manual activities. How many of you work in quality engineering? Most of us, yes. So this is what my life looks like before AI. So I used to write a lot of test cases. I used to execute them manually like a monkey. Create test cases, performing exploratory testing when requirements were not clear, track the test coverage, etc. So these are just a bunch of manual activities. So this is the traditional role of a QA. Now, with AI, we have something called Copilot that enabled us to, instead of writing the test case, now we delegate that activity to AI, and now we can use our critical thinking to discard those scenarios that either don't create any value or may be redundant. And as AI evolves, we start trusting a little bit more. By the way, this is just my view of the world. It doesn't have to be like this. But I think at some point, AI will be able to generate some automated tests from the requirement itself. Daryl has a very interesting point around this. So QAs or the human becomes more, what is the word that you use, Daryl? Validator?
A curator.
A curator, yes.
Yeah.
I like that word. So the human becomes more like a curator of the output that the machine gives to us. Now, for this session, we're going to focus on an E2E automation test using Playwright and something called Context Model Protocol, CMP.
Model context.
Okay, MCP. While I get ready, I need your favor. If you're keen, I would like to have a coffee chat with you. We are running some surveys. So we like to understand how are you using AI today? If not much of an ask, I would really appreciate that. We could go for a coffee chat and maybe have a conversation around that. I'm really curious about how different organizations are adopting AI. Cool. Ekaterina, you ready?
I'm ready.
Cool.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for introduction. I'm Ekaterina. I'm software quality assurance engineer. And as all of you, I'm interested in AI tools and everything. And today I will give you a small context about MCP Playwright server. Right now, I'll just quickly explain what is MCP, what is Playwright, but Playwright, I think all of us know what is it. But what is it in general? Yeah. Just the thing is that large language models like ChatGPT or GitHub Copilot are great in chatting, are great in answering questions, but also they can write code, as Rafael also mentioned, yeah, but they cannot grab live data, they cannot click buttons or integrate easy with your systems. So they are kind of stuck off in their own bubble. Let me check, has anyone here actually tried using MCP before?
If you need the QR code.
Yeah. No. Yeah, that's the way I will explain briefly what is it and how to use it. Good. And for that who doesn't know, I will explain it.
A few minutes, so see what people answer.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I already see that some people don't know. Yeah, and I want to explain it.
Cool.
So Anthropic, everyone knows what is it, yeah? What is company? Built MCP as a standard way for AI to connect to tools and data. The easiest way to picture it, think of MCP as a universal remote control for AI. Before, when there were only direct API calls, developers would write custom code for the AI to send and receive data via specific APIs. And some platforms supported plugins for that to let AI talk to servers. It was the way to communicate with AI. But now there is a universal way. So model context protocol is the universal way. And to make this work, there are two sides, as always, server and client. So server, just like the toolbox, it exposes capabilities, what can be done, what data is available, what actions are possible. And the client is your AI agent. GitHub, for example, talks to one or more servers to get stuff done. Another question. What would you use MCP for at work? I wish it could order coffee for me.
Yeah.
Automate repetitive work, script generation, test website, for example. Thank you for your answers. It's very interesting.
There's one more person typing.
I see. I'm waiting for it. A complex legacy system. Wow.
That should come with the writer, hopefully.
Thank you for your answers. We can see, for example, testing a website in action at my demonstration. What is MCP now? MCP on its own is a protocol, but when you combine it with Playwright, the browser automation framework, you can open browser, navigate to sites, click, fill in forms, and run tests and everything else. You can get an AI that can literally interact with web pages, run JavaScripts, take screenshots, and test APIs. Next slide will show everything, and even do exploratory testing. So in short, it's like giving your LLM a mouse, keyboard, and browser window and telling, go for it. All right, let's see it in action. Here what we need to run. So we need Node.js 18. We need this code with GitHub Copilot and Playwright installed. I will show you how it works. Here it is. I will use Raphael's website and blog post from his recent blog post. I will show quickly you this website. It is only login form here. Then it is a list of products and the product detail. You can add it to cart, remove it to cart, but I think it's enough to show how the MCP works on this simple scenario. We will navigate to this site, login, we will click to one product and verify the product details, page, price. Let's go. This is my Visual Studio Code, and I have no MCP servers right now. I will ask Copilot to do this scenario. I write it in this way. It's easy to understand. Copilot is a rather smart guy, so it will create the file, the folder, and even write the whole test scenario. I tried it. Here it is. Standard Playwright methods, get by role. Playwright expected that, I think it's imagine that there is the such text box with the name, username, such text box with password name, yeah, button with the name login, and then that's it. So it actually doesn't know, is it the name of the text box? But it's good test for me, except of this price element, but it's okay. Let's do it with the MCP Playwright server. How to install a version of Visual Studio Code. You can install the MCP server. You can open extensions. And here is the whole part of MCP servers. You can install extensions, and here is MCP servers. We can browse for them in a browser. There are a lot of MCP servers here, but we need only one today, Playwright. I can click Install Playwright, and I'm coming back to Visual Studio Code. And here I can click Install. 1 second, and it's here. From settings, you can stop server, restart server as every server. And it's already started, Playwright. So we can use it right now. Easy. Let's go. So I will do the same scenario with Playwright MCP. It's the same. But I asked use Playwright MCP server. The previous one was do not use Playwright MCP. And now we will use Playwright MCP. The prompt is like that. Let's see. Go. Interesting. You can see that Playwright is using now. And Copilot opens Google Chrome. Fill in form. The first step was navigate. Next, type text, fill in form. Then go to the next tab. Click Source Lab Backpack. Yeah, bingo. Nothing changed yet because I didn't ask Copilot to do that. Copilot did the manual testing for me. And this is a small report, yeah, that it navigated, logged in, clicked, verified, and closed the browser, as I asked. Now I want to change my scenario. I want Copilot to use standard Playwright commands, but more reliable locators. So I want it to change this test code, the code of the test. If I ask for this at the beginning, it will change it right now. But I just wanted to show you the difference. So you can see locators now, data test and data test. And also here it uses inventory details price, not as just text. Let's see, is it true? Yes, it's true. Magic. This is the only small part of MCP working with automation testing scenarios. The next one I want to show you is manual testing, exploratory one, which is about the same website, so it's demo. And I ask Copilot, I will ask Copilot to explore login functionality of this website. And after that, after exploratory testing, I want to generate detailed HTML report, which includes scenario name steps, screenshots, and execution time. It will take maybe 2-3 minutes, not so long. I will run the prompt, but it will also use MCP Playwright. Let's do it.
So, Ekaterina, so in this case, you have a empty file. What extension is the file?
It's a prompt file.
Prompt file. Okay.
You can run it inside Visual Studio Code with the help of Copilot. You can see now that it uses the first scenario to log in with a standard user. and the password. You can see the steps. Navigate to URL, take a screenshot, type test, and also you can see it. I ask only to explore the login functionality. It can do it with another user, logged out user, another user. But the same password. I expected error here, still working, taking a screenshot. Generate the final part of the HTML report. We can open it. As I asked, put it in the folder manual testing, exploratory testing, and test results. Two scenarios: standard user login passed, logged out user login also passed. Steps, results, screenshots, broken links. Sorry, guys. I will show them inside my Visual Studio Code. I expect them here. This is the first one, and two more. This is it. You can use it in some way you want, but my demonstration is like this. I'm done. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you. I remember doing this type of automated test in the past without MCP. And it will take days, especially because I need to fight with the browser and find the right locator. The accelerator not come from, I delegate that to the MCP server, find the best locator I can use to achieve this scenario. Then I can curate the test. I could use some type of BDD framework and just add the different locators to it. So that could be one use case. I believe that using AI to run your tests could be a very expensive exercise. So I would not recommend that. But you can use MCP to navigate the site, find the best locators possible, for example. Then you can take that test and update your own automation repository. So a task that normally will take hours is now compressed to minutes. All right, Katerina, if you can stop sharing, I can take that.
Stop sharing.
Can you guys see my screen? Yes. Okay, so this was the demo. Now, where do we go from here? I guess we got three options. Option number one, we maintain the status quo and do nothing and allow other people to actually set the pace for us. Or number three, which is the one that I prefer, we start taking the initiative and lead the transformation ourselves. So with that, I would love your feedback. Another QR code. If you can scan that, I would love to hear from you. If you like this type of setup, we are thinking about running more of these sessions focused on AI and QA. I do believe we have a massive advantage because QA is normally we understand the context more than anybody else in the organization. So we need to understand the product. We are the closest to our customers. And I think we're closer to become context engineers. And I do believe that's the way forward for us. So there is hope after all. All right, so move to Q&A. If you guys have some questions, so I open the floor to you. Comments, violent reactions, so we can do that now.
Hello, can you hear me, Rev?
Yeah.
Okay. So just wondering, the demo that Katrina gave around MCP, will it be limited to only browser testing, or can this be extended to desktop-based apps as well?
Right is mostly worked with browser, and there are a lot of methods with browser testing for browser testing. So I don't think that you can use it for desktop, but you can try.
Yeah, but I'm sure there could be another MCP server dedicated to interact with desktop applications. I know a good friend of mine is already playing around with Playwright and API testing. So he's using MCP to test APIs.
Yeah.
Shane?
No, I was just interested in that comment. I guess if he's using it to test API, so MCP does have some degree of flexibility. It's not strictly browser only. It has other talents under the hood.
It does. Yes. Actually, it's not out of the box. It's a capability that you can enhance. And there are already some open source projects to tackle that.
Yeah, I'm specifically interested from a insurance point of view. Obviously, not a product space. There's a lot of complicated, tightly bound end-to-end systems that defy automation with some pretty old bits of infrastructure in there. As far as building features, I'm still talking about projects with bits of infrastructure in there that no one knows how they work, or with incredibly complex paths through them. So how we adapt MCP or something similar to that is hopefully this presentation can help me get some insights into that, but it's certainly a challenge.
Yeah, creating with legacy system, I think that's going to be a challenge.
Yeah.
Could I ask a question on that? When you say legacy system, what exactly are you referring to?
Anything you worked with in 1974, there is a specific app written in a proprietary code in the back of, I'm working for AIA Insurance. The thing I'm most interested in is similar to an old green screen style system where everything is driven by codes. There's no real confirmation or message boxes or anything that comes up. It's not very user friendly. It's the core of everything we do. And only about half a dozen people know how it works.
Yeah, if you're using screen capturing, one of the advantages of a large language model using vision models is that it would be able to read the screen capture. However, you would need to have some understanding of automation around capturing the screen. That would be the challenge, is that you should have some kind of automation knowledge of capturing the screen. And then if you're dealing with applications like WPF, you could achieve the same thing, but a better way would be to structure the XAML to be discoverable by the large language model by making properties public rather than private, which they would be by default. So using vision models and automation to capture the screens and then training the models to understand your context using some kind of specification would definitely be achievable. And you could create your own MCP servers to do that.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, I guess in short, there is no out of the box answer.
No, and I do not wish to derail the conversation from those of you working with systems built after 1974.
Cool. Victor had a question. Two-factor authentication.
Can I ask something, Rafael?
Yep.
I saw that we created report as well in HTML for the test that we did. I'm just wondering, so since we have a good report, can we use MCP for logging defects in Jira? Does it have integration? Can it be used with Jira so that is it smart enough to wherever it is a failed test, it automatically goes in Jira and raises a bug, attaches the screenshots and the steps to reproduce and everything? Because that if we can use it for that, then it saves us as a tester a lot of time.
Honestly, I don't see why you should not. I think it's something to explore.
We should be able to just.
You bring a very interesting point. So I got to spend time on the weekend on that. Yeah.
So Atlassian have just released the MCP server, which is similar to GitHub Copilot's MCP server integration with GitHub issues. And so now you can automate the creation. You can do any Atlassian stuff, even read documents out of Confluence and all sorts of stuff.
I think Atlassian went a big overhaul and did a major change to Jira as well. I just noticed. Yeah, I think it's really good for reporting purposes if we can use that.
Yes. Yeah.
And it works in Anthropic, Cursor, Visual Studio Code, Zapier, HubSpot, like whole bunch of places. Because it's MCP.
Thank you, Darren. Thank you, Arjun, for the question. Victor, I don't think I have an answer for you. I think it's something that probably to explore. Does anybody has an answer for Victor? Is asking around two-factor authentication with Google and Microsoft. How does MCP overcome that?
I can answer that if you want.
Okay.
If you have an application that requires your user login, so you're using OIDC to authenticate against your application, then it can use your local context. So your local user, you could log in using command line Azure CLI, and then you can interact with a service that uses that token on your local machine. The problem with security, and that might be of interest to everybody, is to go and look at the OWASP. There's 10 articles that OWASP has put out for LLMs, and one of them is the problem that you have with authentication currently, because large language models are not great at keeping secrets. You want to separate your login from large language models. You don't want your large language model to know your username and password. It's going to leak it somewhere along the line. So just bear that in mind. Even if you use environmental variables, if it can read it, it's bad.
Thanks, Aaron. All right, so we're reaching the end of the session. I just would like to thank you so much for your time. Maybe before we part ways, I would like to listen to you. What was your biggest takeaway from this session?
When everyone talks about bringing AI into automation, at a base level, I've always heard about it, but never had the chance to explore. Looking at Ekaterina's demo and everything that everyone shared, it's fantastic. It's not as complicated. If we have that skill and capability, we can bring wonders into our day-to-day work. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you, Sanaya.
I think it's similar for me as well, because I am mostly involved in manual testing. I don't have much experience with automation. And this session has helped me realize that automation is not too scary. If things like these can be used, then I feel like I can get into automation sooner than I thought.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm probably the same from being fresh and new and not really understanding it under the hood. But what I really see the opportunity here is to unpick some hard problems. Right? This is a fantastic insight into the simplicity, I guess. As you said, you would take 10 days to write the same code that we just watched being created in a few minutes. Maybe that's a little bit asymmetric, but certainly I think we just all watched the future.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you, Shane. Tariq?
It's more like we just watched the present.
Yes.
Yeah.
My thoughts are like Darrow mentioned about separating the authentication from automation. It's about just because we have the tools now, should we use it in every case? Or do we need to apply it in a smart way? For example, I feel like exploratory testing would be a prime candidate for using these MCP servers and getting it to do the exploring itself. Because now you have a new component added where it's using up tokens. Do you want to put that stress on? Do you want to spend money on all the tokens you're using? When we're implementing, we have to be smart about where we're going to implement.
Thank you, Roha. Any takeaways, surprises, final comments?
It was great to see the demo and get a bit more insight into it. Distrust it a little bit. So it's nice to see some working examples.
Anything you think you can apply back to your organization?
My organisation, they are definitely looking into AI and what we can use it for. My team uses some of the co-pilots and Cursor. It's still a bit of a learning curve as to what works and what benefits we can gain from it.
Cool.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. So anyone wants to give some final comments before we leave? If not, I really appreciate you guys set some time to listen to us, and hopefully we can see you in the next one.
Thanks so
Fantastic.
much. See you guys.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.